So in the words of Andre 3000, separate's always better when there's feelings involved. Unless it's the next top singer group round, then you should definitely grab a partner or two. Welcome to the Deliberations. I'm Mark, and I'm back in the judging seat for one time only as Petri misses his first judging duty in the history of Next Top Singer and YouTube Idol. So I've got Andrea and Nick with me. How's it going, guys?
Bonjour.
Not bad. Feeling pretty good. Excited to judge this group round. I'm excited to see what everyone else thought because at least from what I gathered, Andrea believes that she will not be agreeing with us, even before.
No, I already disagree with you, even before. I'm just happy Mark's back, because now I got somebody to be mad at when things don't go my way. So, because Nick's too nice.
That's true. I've been trying to be mean, and this is my mean, which is nice.
You don't have it in you.
I don't. And pisses me off.
But Mark is so good at it.
It's true.
He is so good at it.
I'm excited.
It's the British thing, isn't it? They always cast us as the bad guys. It's just the voice.
That's true. What team should we start with, or what group?
Why don't we let our guest judge pick the first group?
There we go.
Well, as it's me, let's start on a little bit of a negative, shall we?
Sure. Let's do it.
Let's start with New York Panic. And the reason that I want to throw this in the mix to begin with, I mean, this is song choice to a T. It feels like they picked this song to suit one of the particular singers in the group, and if you've got that one singer that can step in and really carry it and drag you over the line, then you can kind of get away with that to a point. If you win as number one group, then you're all safe and it's fine. But from what I gather from that song, it suited Sam particularly. He's got gravel on tap that he can turn on, which fitted the original really well. While for Iris's sort of jazzy character that she's got to her voice, and then Star just crystal clear, those two must have been looking at it thinking we might be in trouble here a little bit, and I got the feeling that they struggled to really bring their character out in the performance. There's also a bit of a thing, I mean, general comment, with the amount of time that's in this and working with singers you've never worked with before, there are going to be mixing issues. There were, trying to get it all to blend and whatever. It's very difficult in the time frame and a real challenge, but this one felt to me the most out of all three as being super disjointed.
I honestly could not agree more. I felt like the song only came together during Sam's parts, and the rest of it just felt like their hearts weren't in it. They were just kind of honing it in or just piggybacking off the song choice that was suited for that one particular singer, which was Sam.
Yeah.
Like he brought it when he needed to, and it just, compared to his performances, everything else just seems so just sludgy and down, and just like they just weren't bringing that energy. It's a slower song, it's a lighter song, but the vocals contrast with that well, with a very powerful, sometimes gritty vocal delivery that Sam brought to the table, but the rest of them just couldn't match that, and it made it stick out like a sore thumb.
Well, I hate to say it, but this is going to be one time that I think all three of us kind of do agree, because I thought Sam was the clear front runner in this thing, that it sounded like he was carrying the whole group, which is kind of odd, because if you really listen, the girls kind of had a slightly bigger part than he did, considering that this was more vocally on par with him. There was a small part where Iris and Star do a duet together, like where they're singing together, and it was so off key. They literally did not come together at all, that it actually got a little bit painful to listen to, because one was too high, the other was too low. It kind of came out real flat, and it was kind of grating. Iris's mic to me kind of sounded tinny. It didn't really match the other clearer sounding mics. And to me, Star's timing seemed a little bit slow in the beginning, and the vocals a little pitchy. She did kind of pick up towards the middle, but I think by then she had already kind of set the tone, and I don't know, I think Sam was the only saving grace in this entire group song.
Yeah, absolutely. Because for me, this is shocking to say, considering this is my era, but I didn't know the original. And then I listened to it today, the original, and I'm hearing this rocky, gravelly, country-esque kind of voice. I'm thinking, right, now I see why this has happened. Perfect for Sam. And then the other two just weren't in the mix with it. And it was just, I mean, at least if it's not in your wheelhouse, bring some energy to it and match it up. But you've got one level of energy that Sam's at, and then the other two just not there whatsoever. And if that's how you feel about a song, maybe change the song? Question mark? Is that too obvious?
Yeah, I think
you didn't know this song before.
Nail it on the head.
You never heard this song before.
No, it's from, is it Cinderella's Story or Princess Diaries or something like that?
I don't know where it came from, but it was on the radio so much. I knew this song front and back.
Yeah, it was huge over here too.
Oh, I used to love that song.
Yeah, no,
Got it.
All right.
song.
First time I heard it, really good song.
It is a good song.
You got one guy with a gravelly, rocky voice smashing over the top of it, then it really does something. But you can't go half-mast at it. It needs to be a full send kind of song, and only one of the three managed to do that for us.
Yeah, it felt at times, even though Sam had some less prominent parts in the song, it sounded mostly at the time that it was Sam's song featuring the other two.
Yeah, that was the tough part.
That's not what we want for the group round, especially if you want to stay in this competition.
Yeah.
So definitely should have reworked that. Yeah, definitely should have reworked that. Let's move on to the next. Let's go with, what was the team name? Let's go with, I'm not gonna pronounce this right at all. Apium Lucet? Apium Lucet? I don't know.
Maybe.
Close enough.
Aria, Trinity, and Kelsey with Hit Me Baby One More Time.
Very interesting song choice.
Yeah, a very, 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 very popular song from the era. So it's, I thought they all came together. I thought all their voices really suited the song. I felt at times that Trinity was a little off with the timing and pitchy here and there. I thought Kelsey was definitely one of the strongest in this song, and I felt Aria was somewhere in the middle, but still keeping it together pretty well. Wasn't blown away, but I think they sang well together. Most of the harmonies worked pretty well. Really came together in the chorus, but for this kind of music, it pretty much has to.
Wow.
Other than that, I don't really have too much else to say. I think that Trinity should have brought a little bit more energy, and I felt that they were dragging it a little bit at times, but the other two managed to keep it together pretty well.
Can I go next? Because I so disagree with you.
Oh.
For the first time, I think you are completely, you got it. You're right on the assessment of the group, but you have it backwards.
Oh.
I actually thought Kelsey was the one who dragged it down. I felt zero energy coming from her. It was just like, oh, baby, 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 baby. You know, it felt like she was tired. It felt like she might have been maybe stressed out that day and was just kind of not into it. I did not get the feeling that she really enjoyed singing the song, whereas I think Trinity and Aria were kind of, they had the same tonality, they had the same energy. There was a few pitch issues, but at least they kind of came together energy-wise and vocally, whereas I think Kelsey was a little bit too low, where they were kind of at the same, like, you know, harmonizing. She came in a little bit too low, too deep, too tired. The harmonizing was pleasant, but it kind of fell apart during the solos, in my opinion. I think when all three of them were singing together, it was good, but then when they had their own individual parts, it kind of was just, like I said, there were some pitchy issues, but for me, it just felt like Kelsey was over it, and I felt zero energy from her. And so I agree with you on the assessment of the group. I just think that you have Trinity and Kelsey mixed up there. I think it was actually Kelsey who lacked the energy and had a little problem catching up.
So it begins.
The new Mark.
Mark, what do you
someone
think?
has to do it. I'm going to end up treading somewhere in the middle, I think.
Ooh, I like this.
Going on that, Aria and Trinity both had a note in there, or a little part of the run that was just so horrifically off. Like,
yeah.
Come on, surely when you're editing that together, you might think, oh, that's so far off. Like, I've got to tweak that. I mean, out of the two of them, I've got some positives. I mean, Aria brought the attitude that came with the original while still being herself, and had some really good runs in there to sort of complement the chorus. One that really needed to just come out and be changed or re-recorded or something. But it was one bad mark out of the whole thing. Trinity, I kind of wince a little bit when I know that there's a vocal run coming because I don't really know where she's going to go with it. The first one she missed by a mile. The other three actually pretty good, which is impressive. I guess when you're talking about All-Star season, can we let someone pull off 75% of their little solo parts? I don't know. But I think also maybe got a little bit lost in the mix, but is that a mixing thing rather than anything else? Kelsey didn't really blow me away that much. I think she added some good bottom end to it, which maybe the harmonies needed, but didn't really do anything to stand out as such. Didn't really put any attitude into it. It was very much a sing-songy kind of performance. So yeah, I think none of them have really showered themselves in glory either, as far as I can tell. But a great 80s cover, not 80s. I'm definitely rusty. Really great 90s cover though, and fit the brief really well.
Yeah, I think for me, this was kind of like average. Like, it wasn't the best, it wasn't the worst. It was just kind of riding it in on the safe line, in my opinion. We have one more group, and that's the one with Scott and Ginga and Phoebe.
Team Rock Candy.
Rock Candy.
With a theme
and you know
song.
what? I think they did rock. I think they rocked it. They had a really good... Scott, I don't know if anybody knows who Jason Page is. He's the original singer of the Pokemon song. I think Scott actually brought that energy, and that Jason's has a little more of a tenor to him, but I think that Scott kind of sounded like him, and he had that same energy, and I'm glad that he's pulling back a bit and just hitting us when it needs to be hit, but it's not a constant screaming. Ginga definitely matched Scott's energy. I think the two of them were well suited together. Both seem suited for this kind of a rocky song. I feel Phoebe got kind of lost in this because she's stuck in that J-pop whispery voice and just doesn't seem to have that grit behind it. I really love her voice. I still think it's on par with some of the great J-pop singers in my opinion, but I believe she got drowned out just a little bit with these two harder rockers. So I'm wondering if she should maybe have been, maybe we should have pulled Trinity and put Trinity into this group, because Trinity does have a little more grit, and then maybe put Phoebe with Kelsey and Aria, and it might have worked a little better. But all in all, I think that for me, this was one of my favorites, just because I think all three of them were on the same page. They kind of had the same idea, and I think they picked a good song where they all could feature their own personal styles and still kind of mesh together well.
Yeah, I don't really have too much else to say that you didn't already cover. I think out of all the groups, they were the one group that came together the most, and everything blended seemingly well. I thought Scott was he had a little bit of some pitch issues here and there, but he definitely brought that iconic energy from this song. And while I thought that this was a very dangerous pick to go with a theme song out of all things, this one worked really well with both Ginga and Scott in particular. They both had that little bit of bite to their vocals that is very reminiscent of the original song. And like you'd mentioned, Phoebe did get lost a little bit along the way there, but not nearly as much as some of the other groups dealt with in terms of blending proper styles for each vocalist. Overall, this is definitely a top performance for me. The vocals they weren't astounding, but they kept it together as a group. They succeeded where they needed to as a group performance, where some of the others were definitely lacking.
Yeah. Mark?
I've got some questions for the group.
Oh, God.
So, from Scott's point of view, I didn't get a whole lot of dynamic, really. Not that it's a bad thing, because I think it probably suits the song choice, but it kind of felt like the old Smash Us Permanently, which doesn't bother me that much. I quite like that character of him. I guess on the Phoebe front, this is an interesting little point, really. If we did end up having a third rock voice in there, is it then going to become too much of a mess in the mid-range, really? Does it kind of help to have a little top-end sparkle in there? I guess could have turned her up in the mix a little bit, but I think she added something that was quite useful to this.
Well, I'm not going to say that Phoebe was, because Phoebe has a beautiful voice, and I think that she did sound good in the song, but her voice is too whispery, too soft, this is a grittier song. It's more of a J-rock than a J-pop, and she just, to me, it didn't match in the way. She didn't have to be full on gritty and doing all of the grunting and and all that other stuff that, she didn't have to do that, but at the same time, I think that the J-poppy sound was just too soft, too whispery, too calm for a song like this. I think that if they would have had somebody with a little more grit, not all on grit like maybe Ginga and Scott have, but just a little bit more where it just kind of blended a little bit more. Because to me, Phoebe did stick out just a little bit, only because her voice is so soft and so delicate and so airy rather than gritty. And to me, it just sounded odd in that aspect.
Yeah, I don't think that Phoebe should have added any kind of distortion, because I don't think any kind of distortion or any kind of false chords, I don't think that kind of stuff would work with their particular vocal style. But a little bit more power, maybe some more projection, push a little more from that diaphragm just to match Ginga and Scott's energy at that point. Because it did come a little whispery, little more poppy than kind of more rocky pop rock kind of thing with this song.
Yeah, she's kind of stuck in her genre, and you have to adapt when you're performing, especially in this where we're asking you to do different kinds of music. You kind of have to adapt yourself and show that, you have a little bit of range. And I think she's kind of stuck in that J-pop where it's just, it needed to just kind of like grow just a little bit with the power to try to match the energy. And then I think it would have been perfect, but I don't think she was quite there because she was stuck in the pop.
Yeah, Mark does make a good point, though, about having that kind of nicer high end to complement the two more gritty, straightforward rock singers, but I just wanted to see a little bit more power from Phoebe.
Never tell him he makes a good point, because it goes straight to his head. Never compliment Mark.
Hi, I'm not Petri.
I have to compliment Mark. He comes from the... His country ruler still rules over my country, so I have to give some reverence.
The Queen. God bless the Queen.
I'm a proud, loyal subject.
God save the Queen.
Exactly.
God save the Queen. Are you Canadian?
I am.
Oh, hey, we're almost neighbors, eh?
Oh, jeez. You gotta go quite a few hours up north before you get to them.
Yeah, I think it's about 8 hours before I can cross the border.
Yeah, it sounds about right there, bud.
Yeah, hey.
So that was our final decision for the 90s group round. Luckily, Petri has the ability to swoop in and repair all the damage that I have just caused. But until then, oops, I did it again.
Thanks for watching. See you soon with the result. Good luck, everyone.
Don't forget to rate, comment, share, and subscribe.